What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, Nvda, and a couple of other tickers. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer's in 4 days. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the market. So, on SPY, we have a possible left shoulder here ahead and then a right shoulder, but going into close, the market's getting bought back up just a bit. We'll see what happens with the market heading into next week. There should be an attempt to rebound a bit, but if we get if we get another rejection, if we make a lower high and we can't break past at least 598, then there's going to be a risk of us just pushing it, but then rejecting and making a move back down to 591. And then if that breaks, this will continue to fall. There's also the possibility that this is like a left shoulder here. This is also like a mini right head right here, and then we could be forming like a right shoulder here. We'll see about that. We'll have to go into next week just to see how this develops, but we need to break at least 598 to turn back up. If we can't do that, there's going to be a risk of this continuing to fall. So please be very, very careful, guys. The market's not necessarily in the clear quite yet. I also want to call out that although those SPYs trying to get bought back up right now, ES is not doing the same thing. ES is still very heavy. It's barely holding 6,000. If we can't hold this next week, there's going to be a retest of the low, then eventually a dip down to this imbalance, taking us down to about the lower 5900s. So be careful. The head and shoulder structure is also present on ES, and it's looking weaker compared to SPY. For Nvda, this is on a bit of a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. And there's also an argument that could be made that there's a possible head and shoulders on this. This is like our left shoulder. This is like a head, and then this is like the right shoulder. Maybe that's like a possibility. We love to form these peaks and get these rejections, peaks after rejections, and this could lead to another rejection. But it depends on if we could end up losing 134 or not. If we lose that, I will turn a lot more bearish. As long as we're above 135, there's a chance it just shuffles between these EMAs. So there might be a little shuffling coming, but there is still that risk of downside looking at the overall structure. Bitcoin looks a little bit weaker. It's on a bit of a downtrend now. We're going to be looking for a retest of the lower 94,000 area. Might get some kind of rebound first before it starts to continue to dip. There's still a risk of that, so just keep that in mind. For a few more, we have Tsla. Tsla, unfortunately, is looking weak. We're going to be watching to see if we can close above 430 or not. And then even if we do, I think that next week we have delivery. So hopefully we get some kind of bounce. But deliveries is going to determine if Tsla loses 420 and 415 to turn more bearish, or if we get a big bounce and get back above 450 to turn bullish. Could go either way, but just know that there is a risk of a double top on the charts, and this is going to hinge upon deliveries, whether we get some kind of big bounce or not. NQ is barely holding 21,560. If we lose that, there's going to be a risk of bigger downside. If we hold this, we could attempt to rebound, so just be careful. The downside risk is still there. For the QQQ, we have this resistance to watch around 522, and we have the support around this 518 area. If that fails us, we could be dipping lower all the way down towards 516. So we have a lower high being made here. We could push it, but then start dipping lower, but just be careful as that risk is still there. Aapl is also not in the clear yet. We're looking for resistance around 255. If that breaks, we're looking for 257. And if we end up losing support, we have 251. So we could push a little bit higher for 257 than we could be rejecting. So give this the time it needs. For the IWM, Russell 2000, we have the IWM on a bit of a downtrend. This could attempt to push up to 222, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. This could push a little higher, but then watch and see what kind of move we make from there, because I am concerned about the fact that we're making lower highs here. So we need to try to surpass 225 to turn back up. If we make a lower high here, it could reject anyways. I'll be watching for that. It's still at risk of that. Palantir still looks kind of weak here. We could retest just under 80, but then after that, we could reject back down to 76.86. There is the possibility of a cup and handle. We could kind of like push and then dip to complete the handle before it tries to bounce. That's always a possibility. Unless we lose 76.8, then I will turn a little bit more bearish, so just be careful. Coin is looking weaker. We need to try to reclaim at least 270. Otherwise, I see a risk of dipping to about 262, then eventually back down to 257. Amazon is looking weaker. We are attempting to rebound. If we reject off 224, we could be dipping back down to 222. So this could start dipping back down towards that support, and we'll have to see if we get a rejection. Meta is trying to push back up to 600. We'll see if we reject off that or not. There's a good chance it tries to push higher for that. Microsoft could also try to rebound for 431. If that rejects, then we could be dipping. If we hold above that, we could attempt to push, but watch and see how it reacts to 431 heading into next week. So look for a small push on Microsoft. For Google, it could also try to push back up for 195, but then watch and see if we get a rejection again. Like I said before, there's still a possible left shoulder ahead and the right shoulder. So I would just say to be very, very careful. The market may attempt a small rebound next week, but then we'll see if we can try to break our highs. If not, there's going to be a potential rejection. So I'm just here to give you guys the estimates and a very pragmatic sense of what's happening so far. So I'll be back in a couple of hours to give you guys another update. Until then, I thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.